You're listening to More Than Steps, the podcast where we geek out on how belly dance works, one coffee run at a time. I'm your hostess, Heather Wayman. Hello, everybody. It's Heather Wayman, director at Belly Dance Geek, and this episode of the More Than Steps podcast is about how to keep jury duty from hijacking your practice. So I got this notice in the mail about 2 or 3 weeks ago about jury duty, and it's the second time that I've been called for jury duty in just a little over a year. The last time I actually got impaneled on a trial, and it lasted for 3 days, and so my entire first week of the 2-week commitment was spent on jury duty, and thankfully at that point for the second week I was off the hook. So this time I decided, because there was a lot of waiting entailed with this whole thing, I thought I got to have something to do that will keep me from completely wasting my time sitting and waiting. Because when you get called for jury duty, if you've ever had it before, you know, and if you haven't, just wait. You do a lot of waiting. You're already divided into groups. They herd you into this courtroom, and it's completely full, standing room only, and you just wait. And then you get sent to another place, and you wait some more. And and then you have to go through voir dire, and they ask you a bunch of questions about what your viewpoints are and what you do, and all that kind of stuff. And then there's more waiting. So I came up with a plan, and this is what I'm going to implement in case I do actually get called. I will say that I've been lucky so far. I've been calling in for the last, 4 days, and thankfully, knock on wood, I have not been called, and I'm kind of hoping I won't, because I have things to do like podcasts and Belly Dance Geek stuff and practice. All right, so here's my list of 5 things that you can do to keep jury duty from hijacking your practice. Number 1 on the list is to map a song for choreography. All you need is a notebook, a pen or a pencil, and your music player and some earbuds. And when I map out a piece of music, in a nutshell, I listen to the song and I take my my musical phrases, the 8 counts, and notate any strange 4-count extra beats and whatever. And then I'll go back through and listen again and listen for the instrumentation. And over another time, I might listen to identify the rhythms in the different sections. And another time, I may use that to notate time codes or timestamps on the different sections of the music. And I always like to go in and put my music in Audacity and cut it up into sections that correspond with the sections in my notebook on that choreography piece. And then of course I go back and I start notating the shapes that I'll make on the stage, and then lay on top of that the steps and arm flourishes and all the little nuances and things that you hear in the music. It's a detailed process that takes a number of steps. But if I'm sitting in a jury or sitting in a courtroom, I've got plenty of time to go through a piece of music 15 times and do all of these things. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, listen to music. Just listen. How many times do you actually just sit and listen to music without moving around, without necessarily thinking about what steps you would do or what shapes you would make? Just listen to the music and listen to the instrumentation and the drum line and the rhythms and the call and answer, and just all those tiny little things that I like to close my eyes when I do this because it helps me hear the music better. When I shut out the distractions of sight and things that are going on around me. So that's another thing. And you can, of course, dance in your head while you are listening to this music. I love dancing in my head because I'm fabulous there. Everything goes perfectly. All my steps are placed perfectly. There's no missed zill strike here. There's no veil flub there. Everything's fabulous when I am dancing in my head. Okay, so you can do that, of course. Number 3 on the list, you can practice your air zills. Air zills are fabulous. You can practice patterns. You can practice counting those patterns, either musically, before the beat, on the beat. You can practice your tones just by the amount of pressure that you put on your fingers as you're playing your air zills. Practice your dooms, your techs, and your caws, and all that sort of thing. And a disclaimer here, though. I'm thinking if I'm practicing air zills in the middle of a courtroom, people are probably going to see that. And this could go one of 2 ways. It could spark a conversation with someone that might end up being a student and, might be interested in taking a dance class. Conversely, it could also bring some attention that would prevent me from being impaneled on a jury just by virtue of this crazy thing that I was doing. So you could just take that and use that however you want to, or not. Okay, number 4 on the list is Spotify or Pandora or whatever music app you like to use. This would be a great time to sit and search for new music and make your playlists. If you're a teacher, it'd be a great time to make new playlists for classes for your students. It's also a great way to search music for yourself and kind of categorize it and get it all together in an organized place that you can listen to later on when you're not waiting. And then finally, number 5 on the list, and this one might actually be better as long as you have access to Wi-Fi, YouTube. YouTube is a time suck for sure, but when you're sitting there waiting to see if you're going to be impaneled on a jury, what do you have more of then than you probably know what to do with? Time. So cruise on over to YouTube on your iPad or your iPhone or your Android or your Google Pixel or whatever, and search out new and inventive ways to use a veil or a sword or drum solo combos or just whatever, Go searching along there and find some interesting things to look at. These are all things that you can do to, I'm using air quotes now, practice while you're sitting and waiting to see if you're going to get impaneled on a jury. Practice is one of my favorite things. It's a treasured thing for me. Hat tip to my student Soroya, who coined that term in last year's live run of how to build a sustainable practice habit, which incidentally is coming up. We start again with a new run on January 13th, 2020. Registration is open right now, and there are still spaces available. If you have a practice habit that's kind of floundered and you want to recharge it, this is a great opportunity to get in and have some accountability and some support and great concrete steps that you can take to build a habit. And we are building habits. Good habits are a lot harder to build than bad habits. Bad habits are easy to build. Good habits are the ones that we want. And That's what we're building in How to Build a Sustainable Practice Habit. A way for you to build a habit that you can continue on with, even if you have a bad day or an off day and you don't have the opportunity to do a full practice. I'm going to teach you how to make sure that your habit stays consistent, whether that is the same time every day or not necessarily the same time every day. Anyway, you can find information about how to build a sustainable practice habit at bellydancegeek.com/habit. And like I said, registration is open now, and we would love to have you join us. And we hope that you will. Thanks for listening. For more geektacular resources, visit bellydancegeek.com.